Will Rogers once said that when you put down the good things you ought to have done and leave out the bad things you did do, well, that's memoirs. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Christian Questions, talk radio with a purpose with Jonathan and Rick. The objective of our program is to discuss with you, our listeners, thought-provoking and meaningful topics based on the Bible. It's a call-in format, and we are caller-friendly, and we certainly look forward to hearing your point of view. And for those of you who may be listening for the first time, our perspective is this. We believe that there is one God, and through him there's one truth which is found in the Bible. Our purpose is to stir your thinking up along with ours as we continually search for clarity and understanding this one truth.
Our question, Rick, this morning is, what will you change? And our theme text is found in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding.
And Jonathan, yes, it is that time of year again, the time when we tend to take stock of what has happened over the past year or years and look forward to the new year with thoughts and intentions of change, growth, and betterment. Now, all of this sounds very good and sounds very noble, and we even get excited about it. Yet as we enter the new year, we find that we are faced with an impenetrable truth, and that is our circumstances are the same. And in spite of our desire for better, we're still living in the same house, we're driving the same car to the same job, and I could go on, and you can say, boy, does that sound depressing. Well, see, Jonathan says, no, it doesn't.
No.
Actually, it's not, because what this does reveal to us is those things that we can truly change. And that, my friends, is the best news you're going to hear all day. Because there are things that we can change in spite of circumstances perhaps being the same. So stay with us this morning as we look into a biblical perspective on true changes in our lives. What will you change? Well, let's find out, shall we? So, Jonathan, we have one measly little question.
With lots of thoughts behind it.
Yeah.
The question is, what aspects of our lives are in our power to change right now?
And I think that's a very important question. What aspects of our lives are in our power to change right now? And in thinking this whole subject through and looking at it and thinking about the whole concept and idea of New Year's resolutions, and maybe everybody doesn't make New Year's resolutions, but the concept of renewing yourself, that's something we all do at one point or another. We all get to points in our lives where we, hopefully anyway, where we sort of take stock and say, wait a minute, things need to be different. And in my mind, there are four areas of our lives that we have the power to execute change. The first area, and we're going to go through these all one at a time through the program, the first area is our thoughts.
First point, what does the compass of our mind defined as true north?
And we're going to come back to each of these points throughout the program. The second point under changing our thoughts, what thoughts are we comfortable with?
Third point, what thoughts tear us down?
And lastly, what thoughts build us up? So there's a lot of aspect to the thinking process here. The next area that we have the power to change is our attitudes.
The first point, what is our true north attitude towards our life?
Secondly, what attitudes bring us down and where do they come from?
And third point, what attitudes encourage us? Where do they come from?
And again, we're going to go through each of these points as we go through the program. So we have our thoughts, we have our attitudes. Next, the next thing we have the power to change in our lives is our words.
First point, what kinds of words are in our list of 10 most used phrases?
Now, isn't there one of the late night guys that has a top 10 list of something or other? I don't know who it is, but you know, it seems to be a big popular thing, the top 10. Mm-hmm. Well, we all have sort of a top 10 phrases that we use. For instance, for me, one of the things that I say when I do something that's really not as smart as it ought to be, and I'm in company of other people, I usually say, "Oh, for Pete's sake!" And if you ask any of my kids, just tease me about that. If something doesn't go quite right, I hear them say it and look at me, "Oh, for Pete," because that's what I say. Now I don't know who Pete is, but but anyway, that's one of my phrases. Okay, second point.
Second point. What words do we not want to hear related to our lives?
See, there are some words that we just don't want to have as associated with ourselves. Third, what words do we want to hear related to our lives?
And fourth point, Which words do we use most often while relating to others?
And that's going to be an interesting thing to discuss. And finally, the fourth area that we have the power to change, besides our thoughts, our attitudes, and our words, I think obviously is our actions.
First point, what habits do we have?
Secondly, which of these habits weaken us?
And third point, which habits make us stronger?
So that's our program. That's where we're going this morning. We're going to be looking at our thoughts, our attitudes, our words, and our actions, and dealing with each of these sub-questions in looking at the concept and the process of change. And you can plug it into your life in terms of a New Year's resolution, if that's something that you like to do, or just for the sake of saying, hey, there are things in our power to make our lives better. And Jonathan, one of the things that's important here is the concept of monitoring and controlling our thoughts is a very scriptural concept. Let's take a look at just a couple of scriptures along those lines.
First, Proverbs 23, verse 7.